Get on up.
Everybody right there.
Get into it.
Everybody right there.
Get involved.
Everybody just come on now. Come on now.
Joyce with Partnership for the Public Good, and I am here today with Grace Andriette, producer of a forthcoming documentary on segregation in Buffalo schools, along with director Brian Milbrand. And also my pleasure here today to have Mamie Glay, student at the Hill Health Sciences Charter School. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start, Grace, with telling us what this documentary is and how it came to be.
So this is a documentary that looks at the issue of segregation in public schools. And we're using the Buffalo community, in fact the Buffalo metropolitan area, really to talk about the issue of school segregation nationwide. What goes on in Buffalo isn't so dissimilar from what goes on in other parts of the Northeast especially. And that's typically an inner city with a high concentration of people of color and then a suburban area that's primarily white. And it's really policies, national policies, that created this sort of segregation. Because people often go to school where they live, it's also created a system where there's great segregation within our school system. There was a lawsuit in Buffalo back in the 70s that was a school desegregation lawsuit, and we created a magnet school system, which was actually considered nationwide to be sort of a model for desegregation. But what's happened since that desegregation plan was put into effect all over the country is that the courts have really stepped away from those kinds of desegregation efforts, and we are in fact as segregated in our school system as we were before Brown versus Board of Education, which was the case that said separate is not equal. So we've reached a point in our history where we're back to having very segregated schools. So the history of that is what this documentary is about.
It's quite a shocking statistic that I think people probably don't realize. Can you talk a little bit about, as you did on the radio show, how kind of contemporary trends in Buffalo, like school choice, like changing demographics, folks moving back into the city, that Buffalo resurgence, is impacting segregation?
So segregation is not just racial segregation. We also see segregation based on socioeconomic status, for example. And so if people live in poor communities and they send their children to those neighborhood schools, then their children are going to schools where the high percentage of other students are also poor. And this sort of division, middle-class kids going to middle-class schools, poor children going to poor schools, creates an environment, because socioeconomic status is often linked to race, creates an environment where children of different races, different ethnicities, sometimes different religions, and certainly different socioeconomic status are not in school together. And there's real positive impacts, both for richer kids and poor kids to go to school together.
That's a great point. And so that kind of segues right over to our friend Mamie here. Can you introduce Mamie and tell us how she got involved in this documentary?
Sure. So Mamie Glay is a junior at Buffalo Health Science Charter School, and we met her at East. We were filming at East High School for about a month last year. And Mamie was real interested in the project. And we discovered, first we had her sort of in front of the camera, and then we discovered that she's a natural interviewer. So she's been working with the team that's making this documentary, interviewing people, and also sort of being in front of the camera and just talking about her experiences in the Buffalo school system.
Oh, Mamie, welcome. Let's start with what have been your experiences in the Buffalo school system. You've been at 2 schools now, correct?
Yeah, I've been at 2 schools, and I see that because I transferred from being in Rochester, because I was living there, and then I came here in the middle of my freshman year, I believe. I'm not too sure. And then I went to East, and I've been there for, I think, a year and a half. And then I transferred to Health Sciences Charter School. But my experience has been very hectic, very, very hectic. But yeah, I was at East, and I noticed that I wasn't getting opportunities that I feel like I should have been getting. There was no honor classes, no AP classes. Nothing, no opportunities, no really programs, not a lot of programs for students to really achieve in or to really be in where you have any college readiness programs, anything like that. So I felt like I was being deprived of something that I should be getting. So I try to look for schools somewhere else where a little bit more programs, a little bit more, I don't know, place where I could achieve.
Yeah.
So I checked out charter schools, and I was thinking it would probably be better. I'm not paying for anything. So I checked out Health Sciences Charter School, and then I'm there now. So it's been a roller coaster. But what I'm seeing at Health Sciences Charter School is that there's not much difference.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's not really much difference between what I thought it would be. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it could be taken either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if folks want to get involved in this issue, in addition to watching the film when it comes out, and you share that information, please, how can they get involved?
I think it's important that people remain politically active, even on the local level. Inclusionary zoning, creating opportunities for people of different incomes to live
Now
together.
more than ever.
Now more than ever, yes, is important.
It's really important.
And there is currently an effort in the Buffalo County Council to include an inclusionary zoning provision in the Green Code. So if people can rally behind that and encourage their representatives on the local level to vote in favor of these sorts of policies.
I think that all starts from education again.
Yes.
Of starting to really educate all students the same way, and really tell them that they do have power, show them that they have power, and why, in the way they're being educated. What can they do in their community? How do they vote? How can they get involved in politics even if they're not old enough to vote? Things like that, I feel like we need to get educated in, because even though we don't really talk much about politics in school, it affects us very much more. I feel like with inner city kids and children from low income status homes and stuff like that, I feel like it really affects us more because we're more vulnerable. So I feel like we should really be getting into politics and try to educate children of all races, of all economic status, of how to really get involved.
Okay,
in
well,
things like this.
that's great points. Thank you guys so much for being here, and have a great day.
Thanks.
Everybody over there.
Get on up.
Everybody right there.
Get into it.
Everybody right there.
Get involved.
Everybody just